Well, hello. Welcome to Crosstalk tonight. We are sitting around our table. We're actually in a different environment this evening. We're sitting around our kitchen table tonight with Justin and Lexi and my beautiful wife, Rebecca. Panel, why don't y'all jump in and say hi to us tonight?
Hey.
Hey guys. Hi.
So we're so glad to have y'all tonight, and we've been away for a couple weeks, and all been on vacations and traveling and different things, and so now we're picking back up, and been that we've been gone for a couple weeks now. So last time we were here, we did had a great podcast on mental health awareness, and I think we'll get back to that eventually, come back to it, but. We've got some things I want to cover tonight, but we're going to start out with Miss Lexi's going to do some little icebreakers as we start out tonight. So take off, Miss Lexi.
Alrighty, I have 5 questions for everybody.
Right.
One of these I specifically picked because I already know my answer. So, but question 1 is what is your favorite part of a Sunday service?
Wor- Worship. So say praise and worship. Yep.
Okay. And preaching, of course.
Well, yeah, preaching. I mean that too, but praise and worship I think is because it helps set the atmosphere for your preaching.
My favorite part is this sounds bad, but it's at the end when everybody's getting up to leave and nobody leaves really because everybody's staying around and talking.
Oh, yeah.
That is my favorite part.
Awesome.
Because it's sometimes we get there a little bit early because we have me and Justin do set up for live and stuff, and we don't always get time to talk to everybody. So after is when we actually get the time to like see people.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my favorite.
That's actually a good one, and so that's, yeah, awesome.
Second question, what is your favorite church snack? And I always think of this because I always have a church snack.
A church snack, favorite church snack.
Well, it's kind of hard for you.
You don't have that.
Right. I don't have one.
Candy.
Justin specifically is either Lifesaver mints or the
No,
full other Lifesaver,
the life saving candies or Mentos gum.
the Mentos mint gum.
I always try to have some sort of like lifesaver or a mint or something in my pocket or with me close by because, in our church, we like to pray for people, and praying for people calls for you to be
Face.
in their face, in their bubble. And I don't want them to pass out not being in the spirit, but
Or go
you
back to their seat being like, man, Pastor Brett stinks.
his breath rain.
What do you have for breakfast this morning?
Right.
Mine is gum. I have gum. Yeah.
Mine,
You be eating full bags of chips.
listen, leave me alone. Here recently, my favorite has been, I've been bringing like the Built protein bars with me because I'm trying to eat higher protein to be good. So those have been my favorite
Oh,
for right now.
okay. Everybody just sitting around church while preaching, snacking. And,
Oh yeah, don't let her lie. She ain't chewing no gum.
Listen, before I would bring like a full breakfast burrito and just shove a breakfast burrito in my mouth while I'm trying to hurry and get everything done.
No.
So, question 3, what encourages you when your faith feels weak? And I can answer first on this one because I
Go.
know. So, kind of looking back on how many times God has shown up and God has blessed us, specifically, there have been so many times, and I mean, even here recently with money.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where did this come from? And the only answer, and I mean, we even talked about it today because Justin's hours got cut really short.
I'm sure.
And we were like, I don't know, it's going to be tight. And then lo and behold, his check is a normal, regular check. And he's like, I don't know how it happened. And I was like, God. He's like, yeah, that's the only explanation.
Mhm.
So,
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you think that there's no hope and you see all this stuff, especially with the economy how it is now. Even us, we struggle sometimes. And I was like having this, happen with AT&T. What happened over while we were on deal, and it's like we have a bill coming in. I don't have the money. How? And then Josh is like, "We got it. We've been blessed." And it's like, wow, and you pray about that stuff.
Right.
And that's what people think, even the smallest prayer, because it's like, no matter what you do, it's just, even though that was small to me and it may seem small to me, it's so big to God.
Mm.
And He's going to come through and answer. And it's those little things like that that rebuilds my faith that He's still here. He hasn't left
and he
me.
hears us.
Yes.
He hears us. He hasn't left me. When you may feel that feeling, God, where'd you go? We're doing
Right.
everything we're supposed to be doing. We're tithing. We're showing up to church. We're teaching your word. And here we are struggling with this situation that happened. Where are you at? and then he shows up.
He shows up, and he's always an on time God.
Yeah.
Every time, and to add to her story on that, so we have been blessed this week, and we didn't know where it's going to come from, or the money, or to help cover this unexpected expense. And then God turned around, and after I had deposited that money, God turned around and was like, okay, now you give $100 to your friend. Well, our friend Andrew, his son was raising money to go to
Camp.
not camp,
Fine arts.
National Fine Arts.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so he had posted on Facebook that he was trying to sell some tomatoes and stuff, to try to raise some money and stuff. And when I scrolled through that and listened to it, God just like spoke to my heart so I can give him $100. And I'm like, God, I just got this money.
Yeah.
And God was like, give him $100. And I'm like, okay. So I texted Rebecca and said, God told me to do this. And she's like, all right, I trust you,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even through the miracles, God is still going to test your faith too,
Right.
Yes.
and so what are we going to do with that faith? What are we going to do even through those testing times? We're going to just continue to trust God.
Right.
So, and then, one of the things that helps build my faith personally, and this is kind of going to be cliche because, I'm a pastor and this is, whatever. But honestly, reading the word of God and reading books and stuff, honestly, builds my faith. Like, and it seems like every time that I can, I may be going through a low time. Yes, pastors go through low times too in our faith. I could open up the Bible and there'd be something in there that would just slap me right in the face, and it will help build my faith, And even like this week on Monday, I went to see a new patient of mine, and he bought a new book, and he wanted me to start reading that book to him. And so I read through the first chapter of that book, which I'm going to buy that book for me personally. And it was just like slapping me all over the place, of all things. But God knows how to reach us. God knows how to build our faith personally. What will get us,
Right.
So yeah.
My next question, what is one spiritual habit you're trying to grow in? I can answer. I already know mine. And it's actually making the time to sit down and read my Bible and actually study my Bible. That is one thing I'm horrible about.
Mhm.
And it's not that I won't do it, it's that I don't make the time to do it.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's been mine that God's kind of touched on me is, I've read the Bible through several times, and even being a pastor's wife, but working and doing housework
Mhm.
and doing stuff at the church, I just make myself busy. Then I got to stop and make myself time because, it's like Aubriana had mentioned, dad, every time we look, he's reading the Bible. And I look at myself like, yeah, and every time I'm here, I have my phone in my hand, which I should be on the Bible
Right.
instead of on my phone.
Which is so funny that this past Sunday, your message was to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, he talking to me. It's okay. God went up there and told him all our business. I'm like, that's fine.
Right. Trusting God more, like just trusting God for the big things. Like right now, I have been on this campaign of getting this mortgage paid off for the church. Like we owe cheap, like in round numbers, $200,000. And that is huge. And some people would probably look at me and say, you are so, crazy. That's $200,000, whatever. But God told Noah to build an ark before it even rained.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when I hear the voice of the Lord, sometimes I question it too. And then I question my faith. And I think that as God's people, we need to not question and just have faith and say, I heard what God told me to do. And I don't know how it's going to come to pass, but it's going to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in this book that I was referencing, the author of the book was saying that when they were getting ready to transition, the church was growing, they needed a bigger building and stuff. They bought this piece of land, and they were talking about how it was on a hillside. Of course, that went right to Cross Point.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they bought this piece of land, but then when they bought it, they started realizing that, they couldn't just build a church on it because I guess it was more of a hill than like, whatever.
Yeah.
But, then there was extra expenses on flattening out the hill so they could build the church and whatever the case may be. But the pastor said that he went through a whole season of his life, and even his family caught on to what he was doing, and they started doing it. And every time he'd drive by that property, he would just start speaking, and I now don't remember what he said, but it was like a little phrase, that he'd just start speaking that every time he drove by that property until that thing come to pass, until that money come to pass, until that whatever come to pass. And I'm just like, that just resounded in my spirit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to speak it in the name of Jesus that the $200,000 is going to come in. It's going to this our
Yeah.
property is going to be paid for. And so it's those big dreams, it's those big things for me that I feel like I need to have more faith in. And if God's going to lead me to it, He's going to lead me through.
Right. Yes.
And so that's an area that I personally struggle in is just knowing that I've heard from God, and then just even if it doesn't come to pass tomorrow, it might come to pass next year or 2 years down the road or whatever. I'm
Right.
still going to stand in faith and say, I know I heard from God.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Praying more, just being in more of a word of prayer every day.
Yeah.
Yes, I pray every day, but like getting into a prayer closet.
Yeah.
More than just I said my prayer today, or I said a prayer today.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good deal.
My last question. I will go last on this one. I call it. What's your favorite excuse you've heard for someone being late to church?
My favorite excuse for someone being late to church.
I have favorites.
My alarm didn't go off.
And what about yours?
I said I was going last.
So
Oh, you're going
last.
last. Okay.
Last.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to take mine. It's a good one.
I know one time it just always stuck with me. We had this lady in our church that I grew up in, and she was scheduled to sing that Sunday morning. And so anyway, if I remember correctly, which I'm 99% sure, she was always running late anyway. She was always running late some way, some form of fashion. And so she was scheduled to sing, and it got to that point in the service where she was getting ready they were kind of stalling, they're like, okay, where is Sister So-and-so, whatever. And she finally come rushing through the doors of the church, and they called her up, and she, I'm so sorry. And I remember this vividly. She's like, just apologizing. And she's like, I was on my way to church, and I didn't want to be late this time. And so I was speeding through town, and I got pulled over and got a ticket for being late. And she's like, that'll teach me to never be late for church again. Yeah.
Mine is, well, pastor always starts at 10:30, so I never know exactly what time to be here. And I guess today he started at 10:30. That is my favorite excuse.
Why do some churches attract young people for a season while other churches see those young people become lifelong disciples? And why do we have that in our churches? Why are there some churches that seem like, man, all the young people are going to that church? And then there's some churches like us who it just seems like we're struggling to get young people, to keep them here, keep young families here. And we're going to be studying that, and just talking about that, and try to figure out, what are we doing something wrong? Are we not doing something right? So that's my first question, is like, what are your view on that? What's your view on that? Why does it seem like some churches are just attracting all the young people while others are just struggling?
Hard. I wish we knew the answer because we're struggling. I think a lot things is they're going to places that already have everything set up.
Mhm.
They already have the big church youth group. They have the big children's church. They have the new praise and order, the most advanced technology, the lights, the fog, the
Okay, and I'm glad you're touching on that. And those things are good. I mean, yeah, those are the surface
The fad.
things, the fad. But fads come and go.
Right.
So what may be popular in a church this year may be gone next. And so, but there's got to be something deeper than
Than just the
than
fad.
that are keeping people in the churches that they're in.
I think it comes down to what churches have to offer. Kind of not like, oh, what can we do for you, but like, do they have,
Mhm.
like I said, do they have like youth? Do they have kids? Do they have, a young adult ministry? Do they have groups that get together? Do they have this, that, and the other? How can we get involved? Where can we get involved?
Right.
And it not be a thing of like, it's only a couple young adults.
Right.
Like, it's only
It's a
2 or
mix.
3. It's
Yeah.
a group of young adults.
Right. Right.
So I think a lot of times that's what people are looking at, and because specifically, we don't have a lot of young adults just in general.
Right.
I think that is one thing that kind of people are like, oh, well, it's a church. They have a lot of older people. Like, what does it look like? Where do I fit in it?
Or you're right, exactly. Right.
Well, also, I don't even think we have anybody under 30 that is a consistent basis
I'm
that
not
goes,
30.
well, you're 30 within 2 or 3 months.
I'm not 30.
But what I'm saying is, we don't have anybody under 30.
Right. Yeah.
Realistically, we don't.
Yeah.
Me and Derek, that's the best.
Right.
But y'all's birthdays are 3 months away, and y'all will be 30.
I know. That's it.
So at the same time, we don't have anybody under 30
Right.
when it comes down to it. There's a lot of older people in our church, and
So, but that's great, and y'all are hitting those things that are the obvious things. But so what I'm trying to get at is that younger generations can find entertainment anywhere.
right,
Especially in our society that we live today, we are an entertainment driven society.
yes, big time.
You know, I was just okay, y'all. So listen, I was just talking this afternoon with the patient, and he was telling me about this. What is the name of that? The name of that movie that's out? Something Odyssey. Something. There's a movie that's coming out. Something Odyssey or something. And I don't guess it's out like nationwide yet. And so they're doing like a preview type thing in certain like bigger cities and whatever.
Mhm.
And honestly, when he started telling me about this, I was thinking, he's like, yeah, there's some of those tickets that are being resold for like thousands of dollars. And I'm like, dude, I thought he had gone nuts, for a minute. And so we started talking and he's like, no, Pastor, seriously, So I was sitting there in his house this afternoon. I went and I Googled it. And sure enough, in some of these cities like Dallas and Houston and Atlanta and New York, people, because apparently it's like this huge thing. And people are going and the tickets are scarce in these areas to watch this movie.
Mhm.
And so people have gone in, bought like rows of tickets, and they are reselling these tickets for thousands of dollars, and people are buying them.
It's like the
That's
ticket.
just like the FIFA tickets, the World Cup tickets that are in the United States. There, people are buying them for like $150
Yeah.
way back when, and they're selling upwards of $5,000 to $10,000.
And that is insane.
Crazy. Well, Super Bowl tickets are the same way.
Yeah.
You know,
And I say that because we are an entertainment
Very much so.
society, and so you can get entertainment anywhere you want to go. There's entertainment anywhere.
anywhere.
And so even in the church, even in the last few years, it has come into the church, and that's what we have built our churches on is the entertainment aspect of those things.
And not the word side.
Exactly, not the
It's a show. It's I'm going to a show Sunday morning.
exactly. And now, okay, I'm just going to get off on this for just a minute, and then we're going to pull it back and get back up on our outline here. But have you seen it? And there might be some people who's going to listen, and whenever I'm explaining what I'm about to say, you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, you're talking about style, you're talking about this, and blah 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 blah." But listen, this is how much the entertainment culture has entered the church. Because at one time, when you'd go into a church, into a sanctuary, it was a holy place. There was,
Right.
the platform. There was a platform. It wasn't a stage. It was a platform. And, the preacher and, maybe his wife or whatever was on the platform with the musicians. There was a choir and it was set up in a environment where you felt like this is a holy place.
Right.
Well, because the entertainment culture has entered the church, the platform has turned into a stage. And now there's no choir. There is no sense of holiness, I guess, if that makes sense. The choir has turned into worship team, and the worship team stands across there. And instead of leading, see, it feels like in many churches, instead of leading the people into worship, you are sitting there watching a concert of people singing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not bashing that, but I'm just saying that is a great example of how the entertainment culture has infiltrated the church.
Right.
And, even when you walk into a lot of churches now, not only do you have they gotten away with all of the sense of holiness or, the choir sitting there and what things it used to be, and they've gone to the worship team standing across there and doing their thing and all this. They have what we talked about earlier, the smoke
The lights.
and the lights and the action, the live camera action, boom, here's your worship experience. That's all because of the entertainment industry.
It's turned
And
into a concert instead of worship.
exactly, exactly. And so I'm saying all that, saying that younger generations can find entertainment anywhere. And so what they can't find is authentic community that teaches Bible truth and that they have a lasting hope.
Hmm.
Okay. And so we need to understand that what young people are really looking for is authenticity over performance. We may think that young people are looking for the performance and all that thing and everything, but we must understand that that's what they live in every day. Especially younger people, they are tired, they are exhausted from life and work and family and everything else. And so, what younger people are looking for, younger generations are really looking for, is a place of solace,
Yeah.
a place where they can come and find not only
Peace.
peace, but not only physical rest, but spiritual rest for a little bit. And so, younger generations have grown up surrounded again by things such as social media, polished branding, all these things, and they can often recognize when something feels manufactured.
Hmm.
I mean, we know when something is fake, oh, that this cookie cutter, this is one of them other cookie cutter churches. This is one of them other, whatever. So 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 2, and we reject all shameful deeds and underhanded methods. We don't try to trick anyone or distort the word of God. We tell the truth before God, and we are honest and are honest, and all who are honest know this. So young people value authenticity over performance, and that's what a lot of young people, young generations, are looking for. Is that and what we talked about? Someone had mentioned that earlier about the community, whatever. They value young people value leaders who admit that they don't have all the answers. That's a good one. Because I grew up in the church where the pastor had all the answers for everything. And I think that the younger generation is looking for a pastor and leaders who are not so polished and branded and stand off and high and holy, but they're just one of them. And if you don't have all the answers, then you don't have the answers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pastor that's like, I don't know,
They
give
get-
me time and I'll find out for you.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I think younger people are also, they value churches who are honest about struggles.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we should focus on is, we live in a society not only full of entertainment, but we live in a society full of struggles.
Yeah.
And I think that younger generations can connect with leadership in the church or the church if the church is honest and say, you know what, we all struggle.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling with something, we're not going to cast you out. We're not going to, push that under the rug or whatever the case may be. We'll address it. We'll talk about it. We will help you with the struggles. So what are y'all so far thinking?
I mean, I think just in general that, you were talking about they're looking for somewhere that doesn't hide the struggles, but also that doesn't put, the the pastor and his family on a pedestal where they're almost untouchable. It's like, okay, well, I can connect with you guys because I know you guys struggle or have been through similar struggles that we have or that I have or that we've seen. And
Yes.
it's easier to connect because it's like you're a person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And as a pastor, that's what I want my congregation to see is that I am human.
Yeah. You're not God.
Right.
And a lot of people think that
Hmm.
just because you ain't got the credentials to preach,
Right.
don't mean you're not human.
Right.
Don't mean you don't mess up. Don't mean you don't sin.
Right. In Romans, for all have sinned.
Right.
All have sinned and fall
Mhm.
short of the glory of God.
And it doesn't mean also you guys haven't had a past either.
Right.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah. And so I think that that's what younger generation is looking for is just churches that are honest about their struggles
And open.
and open about it.
Transparent.
Transparency.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think that younger generations are actually looking for worship that feels genuine rather than performative. What do y'all think about that? What's your ideas on that?
I agree with that because how am I going to feel connected or feel like I'm worshiping God or that I'm doing something to honor God. If it's, just like how, I mean, there are times where, you go and you see like, I don't know, Forrest Frank, for example, and there may be like it's a concert, but you
Yeah.
can feel God moving. But it's not the same.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else on that? Okay. Well, and I agree with that. I agree that, sometimes our worship, and when I say worship, I'm talking about the songs that we sing and how we present and all those things, that so many times our churches can get caught up in the performance, the performance. Oh, we gotta keep the people, we gotta keep them here. So we gotta keep up and keep the performance going,
Right.
rather than just come in and worship. Come in and sing. Come in and just keep your eyes and your faith and your focus on Jesus. And, we don't have to have all the lights and the, live camera action thing going on, And I think so. And then another thing that I think that younger generations are looking for is real testimonies within the church of God's work in ordinary lives.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why we have to have testimonies, because that really impacts and it uplifts every generation, every person. Oh, if God can do that for that person, God can do it for me.
Right.
I know that there's a lady in the church now that she has just recently, and I love it because it's like a revival of people paying their tithe, and God is like, okay, you're gonna pay your tithe. I'm gonna show you what happens when you pay your tithe. And so she started paying her tithe, and God has just been blessing her. And she's like, Pastor, I don't know how I don't know. You're right. And she told me this the other day. She's like, you're right. I don't know how he does it, but he just does it.
He
I've
puts
been
it in
paying my
front
tithe.
of us.
Yeah. And then she's like, so God has also been telling me that I need to start coming to church on Sunday nights too. And so she's been faithful on Sunday nights and Sunday mornings and Wednesdays. And she's like, I need to start coming on Wednesday too, And so to see that growth and to see those testimonies of God's power in lives, that's what people are looking for.
Right.
They're looking for those miraculous signs and wonders in people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what keeps younger generations connected to a church, is that if those things are happening within that community, I don't think that people's going to stay if it's just a dead, just a dead building. Everybody's just kind of sitting there, nothing's happening, whatever. But if things are happening, God is moving, in people's lives, that's going to attract and
Yeah.
keep people. So I have this question here: Is our church trying to impress people or help them encounter Jesus? I'm talking about Crosspoint right now. Is our church trying to impress people or help them encounter Jesus?
And I think it's to help them encounter Jesus.
I agree with that.
Well, that's what we want to do. Okay, and you misunderstood the
That's
question.
yeah.
So
See, okay, I get what you're saying. That's the forefront of what we think we want it to be done, but I don't think it is.
So my actual question, and I agree with you, Justin. I think so. Listen to my question again. Are we trying just to impress people, or when those people come in, are we helping them to encounter Jesus? What is our focus on? Is our focus on just impressing them, or is our focus on helping them encounter Jesus, have a life-changing encounter with Jesus every week?
So the way I look at it and the way I've seen it, I feel like our church comes in and they go through the motions, they go through worship, they go through your service, and then they're ready to go to lunch or dinner. And it's not being moved. People are not being moved and not being, what word am I looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And not getting deeper into the sermon. They're I don't know. They're not pressing forward in what the word is being preached about and following through with what is being said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's very stagnant.
Right. Yeah.
And when stagnant sets,
Okay.
stuff gets stinky.
Yep, exactly. So what happened to our pool last week when we were on vacation? We didn't let the pool run, and so the water sat out there in the pool. And guess what?
Got green.
Not green.
And neon green at
Yep.
that.
Yep.
On water.
Scripture tells us. I believe it's Philippians 3 or Philippians 4. It talks about I press forward to the I press pressing on to the goal that is the prize before me, which is Jesus Christ. And yes, but we have to continue to press. And
Right.
now, I'm not saying impress. I'm saying to press.
To
We
move
have to continue
forward.
to press and move forward. And so if y'all were in our service on Sunday, I hope that y'all knew what I was doing. I was doing something intentionally.
Mhm.
That when I started making the people praise, I started exhorting them to praise. And in the beginning, they were just like, yay, and I was like, no, we're not going to do this little twinkle toe praise.
Right.
We're not going to do that. Just go through the emotions again. We're going to really praise Jesus
Yeah.
and praise for who he is.
Right.
And if you notice that as I continue to press and I continue to press the church to praise, people began to actually enter into another level, into another realm. And then I don't know if y'all could feel it, but I did. You felt just the anointing. There was just like a shift.
Hmm.
And as people began to praise louder, people began to pray and began to get lost in the spirit in their praise,
Right.
Mhm.
And Lexi,
I have 2 things. One, okay, so I wasn't at church on Sunday because I was not feeling great. I wasn't up to par. So I was at home watching service, and when you stopped everyone, I started laughing. I was like, he's calling them out today.
yeah,
I texted Justin, I was like, "So pastor's on one today." And he said, "Yup, very much so."
But that's okay to be on one.
It is okay. It was just really funny because I call it sassy pastor, and it's my favorite thing. It's my favorite. But then my other thing is okay, so I'm really bad about, like, I can see both sides of things.
Yeah.
Like, I can see where there are times and I mean, from my outlook on it, and
Yeah.
maybe I don't see it the same, but there's a lot of times where I see our church trying to lead people to Jesus. There's a lot of from my experience, but then there's also times where I feel like we do stuff, I guess, to quote unquote impress people.
Yeah.
Or
I-
routine.
Yeah.
It's not even that. When I'm saying impress people, it almost is like to encourage people to come. So like with the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Or like we're doing VBS at the end of the month. And like it's kind of a teeter. It's like, which one is it? Because you can't.
Yeah.
At some
In
point,
reality, okay, so that was kind of a trick question, but because
I felt tricked.
in reality, I mean, you want to impress people.
Right.
There is a level of that of, okay, I want people to have a good experience among the community,
Mhm.
and I want people to want to come back to my church. But more than that, we have to lead people to Jesus.
Right.
Right.
So it's a little bit of this, but a whole lot of this.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, but that's what we have to do is we have to continue to always help people encounter Jesus. So second thing that I want to cover tonight is young people are looking for a community that feels like family.
Mhm.
So let's talk about this tonight. Okay. Acts chapter 2, verse 42, it talks about that they were basically, they became family. The church became family. They ate in others' homes. They did life together, and et cetera, whatever. And so the sad reality is that many young adults are experiencing loneliness despite being more digitally connected than ever.
Right.
Young adults can get on these phones, the iPads, everything else, and be connected to the whole world 24 hours a day, but there's still loneliness,
Because nothing replaces that person to person connection.
Exactly.
Nothing can replace that.
Right. And so let's trail on that for just a minute. Okay. So do you think that it's beneficial really if there is a problem with that, and there is with the young generations, and they're allowing their digital technology and all that to seclude them, and they're dealing with depression and loneliness and all of these things, is it beneficial for the church to offer like online services that would and I'm not saying that it's not, I'm not saying it is, I'm just we have online services,
Right.
but is it beneficial? Because that could be tempting for younger people to say, I'll just stay home and do what I do every day anyway and just stay online.
Right.
or not having service, would it maybe help push some people to actually get out and come to church and have that person to person interaction? What
No,
give me your thoughts.
I don't think so.
Well, why don't you think so?
Because at the end of the day, if you're going to go to church, you're going to go to church. If you're just going to stay home, you're going to stay home no matter what.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just plain. I mean, plain and simple is if you're willing and wanting to go, you're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to catch it online,
Right.
but how attentive are you on that online service?
Hmm.
Because I know it's hard for me.
Yeah. When you're at home,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean,
You're at home. You know, you're going to doze off. You know, you're in your comfortable seat in your chair.
Yeah.
So
in your pajamas,
right.
whatever. So, so I guess that what I'm saying is, do you think that the online privileges has become a hindrance to people?
No,
No.
I don't, because the thing is, and before I started coming to Frostpoint, okay, how everybody does like church shopping essentially.
Yeah.
I was doing that, but online. So I would go online, I'd
Uh-huh.
watch their live,
Right.
wherever it was. One of the places I watched was the Way, and I would get a feel for, okay, well, how does service run? How does worship go? Like what's their layout? So I could be comfortable. So okay, I'm gonna actually go, and I already know how everything's kind of gonna go. So I'm not just wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's beneficial in that. And then you have people that like me, I was out, I was sick. And I agree with Justin, people that are gonna stay home were already gonna stay home in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
People that were
Yeah.
gonna come, were gonna come.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So
I mean, that's true. I agree with all of that, and I'm not, I mean, I'm playing
I
devil's advocate over here.
I see where online could be or online services are beneficial for like when you are sick or you're out of town and you still want to be a part of that church service.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're at home, you're going to come or you're not. That's just,
That's true. Right.
you're putting 2 feet out and getting out and going or you're not.
That-
You're staying home.
That's very true.
And so, yes, I do see it's beneficial, but at the same time, not really because if you're going to go, you're going to go. If you're
Right. Yeah. I understand that. So even though people are more digitally connected than ever, there are people in this younger generation who are looking for they're not just looking for a Sunday service. They're not looking just for a Sunday service. They are looking for a family. They are looking for mentors. They are looking for friendships, people who know their names, and a spiritual family, a family that they might not have.
right.
And so they're looking for those things. And so I love this quote. It says, "Church becomes sticky when people feel known."
Mhm.
Church becomes sticky when people feel known.
Yeah.
It's because they don't want accountability.
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of people go to the big churches like
Just big
Church
churches.
on the Move or Life Church because there's so many people that's in there. They can slip in and slip out, and nobody knows they're there. Nobody cares if you miss a Sunday. Nobody's calling and checking on you or anything. So they don't want to feel that accountability. Where if they do decide to stay home and play hooky, no, Sister So and so is not going to be calling and say, "Well, where were you?" I mean, here at Crosspoint, we're not that bad. We need to get a little bit better, but my rule of thumb is I give you 3 weeks, and if you miss 3 weeks, then I'm gonna text you and ask where you're at.
Yeah.
And say, "Hey, you've been missed." Because I know people's lives do get busy and things come up, or you get sick, or you're going on vacation. But that's how I think sometimes people do slip through is because they don't want the accountability of
Right.
someone checking on them
Right.
or know them, or then find something's going on, and there's like, well, what are they going to think about me now? I'm going through this. What are they going to think?
Right.
Right. Exactly.
That is a very valid and big point in that.
Yes, I agree 100% with that. Yep. And so I think that a lot of people do choose the
Bigger churches.
bigger churches so that there is no accountability, And so yes, the community is key for a lot of people. They want that, there are
Want it.
some want it. They want those, the encouragers, the spiritual mothers and fathers, the mentors, the friends and so that's why it is important to have you know these systems set up within the church so that way people can come in and get involved, and so the
Big
church, yes, And here's the thing though, the church is healthiest when generations grow together.
Yeah.
You know, and we cannot have a split church, and the old church and the new church.
Right.
We really can't. We got to have our churches have got to the generations between the churches have got to grow together.
Together.
Okay.
New school
got-
has to meet with old school to come to an agreement.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel that splits a lot of churches up.
Right. I believe so. So let me ask you, Lexi, I'll start with you. I'm gonna put you on this, put you on the spot. So I know you kind of talked about, just made a little mention of it earlier about, you watching, other churches and different things. So what are you looking for in a church community? When you think about your relationship as in regards to the church and whatever, what are your desires? What are you looking for in a church community?
I'm looking for a place where I feel like I'm welcomed, where, there are people that care
Mhm.
and where I can grow and where I have the opportunity to grow. I mean, like at Crosspoint, I've had the opportunity to grow spiritually. I've had the opportunity to grow with serving. I have a community here. I have people that know me.
Yeah.
I have a family here because, not a lot of people listening probably know. I don't have a lot of family.
Sure.
I don't. Justin doesn't have a ton of family that we're close to either. So the
Yeah.
people that we go to church with,
Our
that
family.
that is our family.
Right.
Wilma and Gary have started calling us their kids, and I'm very excited about that because I love all. But but that's the main things
Yeah.
that I look for, and that's the things that I found.
Yes. Awesome. That's awesome. So you are, and that's important for you to say that, is that those are the things you were looking for. Those are the things that you found.
Mhm.
And so when people come to our churches, what are they looking for? We need to know what they're looking for, and then we need to provide those things so they can find those things. Justin, what about you?
Well, I've gone to this church since I was born.
Yeah.
This has been my home church for 30 years now, 31 actually.
Yeah.
You're old.
Our family has gone to different churches.
Yeah.
There was a time and point we didn't go to church. Parents did. I did not. I was wild and young. And after my mom passed, it really hit hard for me that I needed to start coming back. And this is just where I knew and what I have always came to.
Yeah.
And so we started coming back here, which my dad continued to come.
Right.
So that made it easier.
Right.
But
for you, it was correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a place of familiarity.
Yeah.
It was your past, part of your
Right.
past, and so it was a place of comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. What about you, Becca?
I'm married to the pastor, so I go where he goes.
That's obvious.
But no, it's home. This is for those that don't know. Cross Point used to be called Glenwood before it was changed over to Cross Point, and that was my home church. And so it's good. We've been to 2 other churches that we have pastored, and just when we come back here, it's that home that you belong. Because, when we go to pastor new churches, you're the outsider coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And especially as pastor, everybody puts us on that pedestal. They expect more out of us. And, but I know that that's one thing that was in Tologa that I know that was awesome, is that people's this town doesn't accept outsiders very well.
Mhm.
But we became, just by us getting into the community and loving on the community and getting into the school systems and knowing people, we became the community pastors.
Right.
There was people who would say, knock on doors, and other churches would knock on doors and invite people to church because it was a small community. And they're like, oh, our pastor's Pastor Josh and Sister Becca at Tologa Assembly, and so, and we'd never seen them in our life at the church on a Sunday morning, but we talked to them, and
But we were their pastors.
we were their pastors. And so, I think it's that home here at Crosspoint, is that home, like Justin, it's familiarity. You're home, everybody, and everybody knows my I started in 1992 when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And until came here, plumb up to time I married you, and you moved me to Tologa, Oklahoma, out in the middle of nowhere, to pastor our first church after 2 weeks of being married.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. So let's just move on, because I know that we're kind of getting to that 1 hour mark, and I knew that this would be a lot to take in tonight. But the other thing that people are looking for, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, but the presence of God.
yeah.
Yeah.
People are looking for the presence of God. Nothing replaces a genuine encounter with God.
Right.
And there are only things in life that only God can understand. There are only things in life that God can touch and heal and mend. And again, going back to you know, the entertainment culture, people are just wanting a place of solace, a place where they can come in and just, here I am, Lord.
Right.
Young people don't need a better show. Young people they need hope. They need peace. They need healing. They need Jesus. They just simply need Jesus. And programs may attract attention and it may draw a crowd, but the thing about it is God's presence transforms lives.
Yes. And that's only a season
Yeah,
when you're talking about that.
yeah, yeah.
It's only in there for a season.
Right. Yep. Those programs, those
Mhm.
things are only there for a season, but God's presence is always
There. Right.
always dwells.
Yep.
And so that is my heart above everything else is that God's presence. Everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. Right.
But if God's presence is there, and so I just have this. Young people may first visit because of an invitation or curiosity, but they often stay because they discover a community where they belong. They stay because they're challenged to grow, and they stay because they see a compelling vision of what following Christ is really like. Those are why young people stay in the churches they're at.
Right.
And that's good to think about that. Are we a close community where everybody can belong? Are we challenging other people to grow? Are we compelling people to follow Christ? And so that's that's why young people go to the churches they go to because of some may go for the entertainment, but the majority of young people are going because they are looking for answers. They're looking for Jesus. They're looking for community. They're looking for a place where they can belong. They're looking for a place where they can grow. They're looking for a place that they can be challenged and feel like they have purpose in life. They're going to a place, they're finding a place where Jesus can be encountered. The Bible is taught faithfully. People are known genuinely, that every generation is valued and everyone has a place to grow and serve. That is a church out there.
Yep.
And that's what people are looking for. Anybody else have anything to say about that? All right. Well, and so if you are looking for that, I'll just say this. If you're looking for that and you are close by Sapulpa, come on up to Cross Point. We're at 450 East Spear Avenue. If you are looking for a place to grow, place to serve, a place that you can encounter Jesus and all of these things, come and join us at Cross Point. We would honestly be glad to have you. And I know that we're just a crazy bunch of people that don't have it all together, but we're all loving Jesus. Amen. So we want you to come. If anything, come back and visit with us again and listen to our podcast and go and follow our podcast. And that way that you can get anytime that we drop a podcast, it will alert you that a new episode is ready to be listened to. And so go and find that and follow us. And I pray God's blessings upon you. And I love you so very much. And I hope to see you soon. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.